All right. So now that we've discussed fish in general, there's one specific area that I'd like to highlight here, which is talking about fish scales and kind of the variation between them and their functions. So, fish scales, when we're talking about them in general, almost all fish have scales. Scales can help fish with color patterns that make them harder to catch or show off to mates, help protect their bodies, or help them become more streamlined. Again, lots of different functions with them. Some fish have more than one kind of scale on their bodies. So right off the bat, we'll talk about fish that do not have scales. So some fish, like moray eels pictured below, do not have scales. They have a layer of mucus on their skin to help protect it from infection and to help move through the water. So looking here at dermal denticles or placoid scales, this gets us again into that material that we've talked about with our cartilaginous fish. Dermal denticles are also sometimes called placoid scales. The terms are basically interchangeable. We already know that placoid scales help sharks fight off infection and streamline their bodies in the water. So here, if we look at cycloid scales, these are scales that are circular and smooth. They help streamline the fish in water, helping them to move farther along in it. You can find them on fish like salmon and carp. So we have a carp here pictured below. Again, you can kind of see that smooth surface. It just lets water flow over them a little bit more easily. Ctenoid scales are another one that we look at. So these scales are also a little bit circular, but they have small spines, so you see here on this end, that give them a rough texture. They help streamline the fish in water, and you can find them on most perch-like fish. So again, here's a perch pictured below. So wide variety of fish have these particular types of scales. Again, that kind of notching in there helps to give this an overall streamlined shape. Water passes over pretty easily. And here we can see a little bit of variety in terms of how the ctenoid scales look in terms of where they're located out on the body. So again, a medial scale would be more kind of on the middle part of the body, dorsal scale would be on the back, and caudal scale would be on the tail. And then finally, ganoid scales is the last one that we're looking at. So these scales are very tough, and they often have serrated edges. So here you can see they kind of almost look like roof tiles, the way that they lock in together. But some of them have these sharp edges to them. They can help protect the fish, and you find them on a lot of primitive bony fishes like sturgeon, paddlefish, and gar. We've got a gar here pictured below. And so when we're saying primitive, we just mean varieties of fish that have been around for a fairly long time. But again, this particular scale structure helps to protect their bodies overall. It's not as designed for being streamlined. It's more for protection. So hopefully this clarifies a little bit about the different types of scales that different types of fish have.